What up, Corey? What's going on, Shiv? What's going on? What's going on, guys? What a day, what a day. Definitely a wild day. What's going on, everyone? What's going on? What's going on, Alex? Sid, what's going on? Couldn't catch the whole bull run? Don't worry, don't feel bad about that. There's gonna be another day. There's always another day, always another play. What's going on, Race? Welcome in, guys. Definitely one hell of a day, I will say that. I don't think a lot of people actually saw that coming. What's going on, Daniel? What's going on, Caviism? What's going on? What's going on, guys? Welcome in, welcome in. Probably wait another second or two, get started here, but what an insane start to the week. I will say that. All right, guys. So let's get started here real quick so we can talk about what's going on. Amazon 100 day. Jay, you don't want to know what ended up happening to me on Amazon on Friday, I think it was. Yeah, that was Friday, actually. I'll actually let you guys know the story. I actually called out Amazon Lotto Thursday night, it was on Twitter. And I was literally expecting it to go probably approaching that 2,900 mark. I think my second target was like 2,919 on Amazon for Friday because I was expecting it to be like a 1 day wonder on Friday. And in fact, it did, but it started from the bottom basically. It started from the bottom, and then it literally, by the time that I ended up seeing where it was at the end of the day on Friday, I was like, God damn, I sold way early. I saw my contract that I had go from like 2,000 to 10,000, but it was on a 0 day. So I was not expecting to hold the 0 day for that entire amount of time on basically expiration day. And all I saw was the contract go from 2,000 to 10,000 a piece. And I was like, God damn. But it is what it is. You always have days like that. Pretty much just gives you insight that you're always going to miss out on the play. So don't feel bad. Don't get down on yourself about that. It is what it is. There's always going to be another day, another play. That's all it is, right? But a few things here, and I gotta say, I've been strolling through Twitter for quite a while, since over the weekend, and there are so many mixed reviews right now on where the market's pretty much headed that there is literally no clear sign right now of where we're pretty much going. My funds were set. It is what it is, Jay. But again, I was literally strolling through Twitter, and I really didn't see much of a direction that a lot of people have. It's just because we're pretty much in the middle of the pack right now in the market, in which some are saying that we're going for a full V-shaped recovery back to all-time highs. Some are saying we're pretty much going right back down from here, that we're into resistance, and I can see validity to basically both points. Right? And that's what I'll pretty much get into here with Spy and giving you the update here. But right now, I would say just take it day by day. I think you've seen that from examples from the guys on live, also from Avery, because I know that he updates DEFCON on a day-to-day basis. But as you notice, he actually updates it on a morning basis, determining what the market gives him that morning. So if the market's going to be bullish tomorrow, then he'll likely have a scenario in which the bulls continue this rally. If we see some kind of volatility that goes favoring the downside, then you'll likely see him give you the caution on what levels we're watching to the downside. But bigger picture, we're taking it day by day. We're not trying to time the market the top and the bottom here. As much as we would like to, this is still volatile times. You see the market go up 7 points on SPY, and just as easily tomorrow, we can come down 10 points on SPY. And that's what volatility is right now. So it is much harder to pretty much determine. But going into the chart right now, as you see that I have SPY pulled up right now, is bigger thing is that I have a trend line resistance, and that's what we're actually hitting, and that's why I do see the validity basically to the downside. So if we are gonna, best case, we get some kind of slight pullback tomorrow morning, and we could potentially even rip red to green tomorrow. But it would make sense that we end up pulling back right off of this resistance point right here, in which you see the body lines here. Right in the middle, you have two wicks that hit that resistance point, and we wicked right into that resistance here into the close today. So that's what I'm expecting is at best case we get some kind of a little bit of a pullback. Maybe we pull back to about 447, 446, and then we can continue right back up in which we get a red to green move. That will be pretty much the best case scenario for the bulls. Now, if you're a bear, obviously you see the amount of room that you have towards the downside, in which you can give up this entire move today and wipe it out like it was today pretty much didn't exist. Turn up the audio a little on Drake. It's a bit low. Someone just said I'm a little bit low. I'll see if I turn up the volume just a bit. Alright, I turned up the volume just a bit. Just let me know if that's good for you or not. But again, we're right into resistance on SPY, and this is a spot where I would expect to at least get a pullback, is what I was saying. Likely test for 47 for 46 at pretty much the best case scenario before the bulls continue their rally. Otherwise, if the bears end up taking control, we can wipe out the entire day today like it didn't exist. And that's what I would expect to happen, is that we end up wiping out the day, given the fact that we had 2 days, pretty much back-to-back days, and we haven't had those kind of gains back-to-back since April of 2020, it was reported. So we haven't had this kind of day back-to-back, this kind of rally in this fashion since that April 2020, and that's why I do believe it's just more so a relief rally. Now, could it be done here? That's a question mark where no one really knows the question. But all I know is that we're right into a resistance point. That's pretty much a fact right now. And that we could potentially end up getting at least a small pullback before the rally continues. So what I'm pretty much watching and going into the daily now, so I can show you the bigger picture, is that two things actually did show up here. Is that one, we actually do see the volume is present. So that's one thing that you definitely want to see. It's not necessarily a pretty much a no volume melt up that we end up having. So there are buyers, likely dark pool buyers, heavy buyers that stepped in from last week. And then the other thing that we also have is that I'm looking at the EMAs here off of the daily. So two key levels I'm looking at to test if we continue this rally is 454 and next level is 457. So those are the two EMAs that I'm playing off of right now. I don't expect us to get past 458 on SPY. I do see some projections. Some pretty much bulls have us going to about 465. I think at that point, if you're at 465, you might as well put us back at all-time highs. I don't think we get past 460 at the very best. So I think for my bull case, I'll give you 460. That's pretty much the highest I think we're going. But again, two key EMAs that I'm watching, 454, 457. That's the levels that I'm watching for the upside. And of course, I already told you your downside risk, in which you wipe out all the gains from today, which will put you right back at 439. And then of course, you're looking at taking out the low here, which volatility is really going to start to kick in more so than just one day, being tomorrow, and we can potentially get back to the 420 low on SPY, and we break even down lower, in which some bears even have us going down to about SPY 380. I think 400 is that first stop though. All right, on a bigger note. So that's what I'll be watching for SPY. 454 tomorrow, and then 457. We'll see if the bulls continue this strong run, but I think me personally, I'm expecting a red to green move tomorrow. Is what I'm likely expecting. Give us a digestion out of this move at the very best. Give us a nice little pullback, and then we start to rip if it continues. All right. So I'll jump into a few different names here that I actually have on the watch list, and I kind of picked a mixed bag here for the watch list, primarily because of the fact that, of course, we don't know the direction of the market going into tomorrow. So I definitely want to pick some names that are pretty much out of tech, and also names that pretty much may end up running outside of the tech sector. All right, and some that also have catalysts coming up. So I'll start with the ones that actually have catalysts coming up. So the ones that actually stood out to me was one was Starbucks, and I think I actually posted this one on my Twitter. But I do like Starbucks here. I think it looks a little bit better. The chart looked better. Was it off the 4 hour? Possibly the 2 hour. Yeah, I think it looked better off the 2 hour. So nice little falling wedge action that we had off of Starbucks here. And yeah, why does my chart look tilted? All right, looks fine. All right, so as you see, we had the nice little falling wedge action. We had the nice little push going into from Friday. Now this was the follow through that we ended up getting. So I'm looking to see if we get a continuation going into the earnings that they have this week. So this will be a catalyst in which maybe we continue to see the run up, and also the fact if tech actually continues, well not continues, but ends up taking a burden, and we see us going red in tech. This may be a name in which you want to turn your attention to outside of tech, and we can continue to see this one get a nice little push to the upside. We also do have a nice little gap fill here, so I'll be watching the gap fill over 99.36, in which it completes at 99.94. So a little bit of a decent move. I want to say about $1 and some change. So probably look for an earlier pullback in the morning, and that'll likely be a nice little push in which you get right into that gap fill. So just a small one on the back burner off of this one, just knowing that has earnings coming up, and I do like the breakout for a continuation here. All right, so that's one that actually has earnings. Another one that actually has earnings is PENN. PENN Gaming. I think that I have to throw this one in here, primarily because of the setup that it has, and this is just a beautiful inverted head and shoulders. I think it literally just looks textbook. So you have the beautiful little inverted head and shoulders. You just literally flashed a breakout from the neckline, and you're setting right into the 50 EMA here. So I'm watching this one for a continuation, getting a nice little continuation up to about 48 and some change here. 48, 40 would be that level that I'm watching. So probably get about a $2 and some change move out of this one tomorrow. So definitely keep this one on the radar. Again, outside of tech and with earnings coming up. So we're looking for a continuation on the run up into the earnings. And then the last one that also has earnings coming up is AMD. AMD almost made it to the newsletter this week, believe it or not. But granted the fact that they actually have earnings tomorrow, I felt that it was pretty much a little bit too short in the week. I had pretty much in the beginning of the week in which you wouldn't be able to get too much of a move. But what a monster that was. I think Jim Cramer was pretty much tweeting out about this, in which where the short he was calling out for the shorts. But definitely a monster move. I had my resistance line set up here. I think it was about the 9-day moving average off the daily I was watching. Once we broke that 107 mark, it was literally right into the resistance, the downtrend resistance. So I'll be watching to see if this one continues. Primary reason I'm watching it to continue, although it's right into the resistance level, is because the gap fill above has not been completed. So I'll watch to see if we get a move beyond this 114 mark. Probably get a move right into 118, in which that'll complete the gap fill. So that'll be one that, obviously you're not gonna probably see all of tech maybe take pressure because of the fact that we have earnings in certain names like Amazon, Facebook, and AMD. But this may be one that ends up getting a nice little move. Hopefully it doesn't gap up too much, but you obviously see what the target is, 118 to continue the gap fill. All right. But also just notice that you are into resistance right here in the downtrend resistance. All right. So outside of that, let's see the other names. The other name that stood out to me was going into oil. So obviously, if we don't see any kind of movements between tech and anything outside of tech, maybe turn your attention to oil. So I was looking at Marathon Petroleum here. Has a nice little wedge action that's going on right here. So we'll see a nice little break. Once we break that 72 mark, she's gonna have a nice move right up towards 73.90, in which that'll be the next pivot point that I have. So this will be one, again, turn your attention outside of tech if it is a bad day tomorrow, and you could turn your attention towards Marathon Petroleum, and it'll have a nice move for you tomorrow, pushing close enough to 74. So that's about a decent sized move that you'll end up getting about a $3 move potentially out of that, and you can get a nice little runner out of it. So I do like that one, so keep that on the watch list. The other one that I was watching was also Caterpillar, and I was gonna look at Boeing, but I don't think anyone wants to look at Boeing. And Boeing had just a monster move. I know that Tom actually was in Boeing this morning. He was in puts, and when he was in puts, he ended up getting out. And the moment he got out, I think it literally just went vertical, straight up. About a $9 move from the bottom, insanely crazy. And then Avery just comes out of voice out of nowhere, and he's like, "Oh, that's really neat." Boeing just goes vertical. And when I looked at it, I'm like, damn, that literally just popped up. There was one moment the 5 minute candle jumped about $2. So insanely crazy there. But turning my attention to Caterpillar, I know they also had earnings. You see the little gap down that they had. But I do like this one if we do see names outside of tech pop as well, in which we'll get a nice little retest towards the neckline that we broke down from. So you see the head and shoulders, you see the breakdown. So we may end up getting a nice little reversal in which we'll probably test the gap fill. That's one thing that you'll pretty much watch. So as you end up testing that gap fill right here into 207.71, you're also going to end up testing that neckline if you see that I extended it. So that'll be a nice one going into 207, about close enough to about a $6 move. I think that one definitely has potential here. So I'll watch that one. You also do see that the volume here is pretty much still elevated. So it could signal that buyers are pretty much stepping in here. And so you're basically going to be watching for continuation on this one. So I'll look for this one to continue. Let me actually peep what the level was to break out on Caterpillar. So definitely want to see a certain level to get a continuation on it. But level I'm watching here is 203.88. That's the pivot point that I want to break over. We break over the 203.88, then that'll be your signal to get into calls and ride it right into pretty much the gap fill test at 207.71. All right, so that's one, and pretty much brings me to my last two plays here. Netflix was the first one here. Of course, Netflix being in tech, we saw what a monster move that was. I think that pretty much caught everyone off guard. Was insanely crazy off of this move. I did not expect that kind of push. But I'm also watching about the halfway back off of this gap fill if we do get a continuation. So I will continue to watch Netflix here. She'll likely get a move towards about 450. I saw out of the money calls pretty much just ringing in from anywhere between 430 to 450. So a lot of call buying pretty much out of the money. There was pretty much a big whale order that came through that kind of triggered this entire move to the upside. But that was an insanely crazy day, 11% upside. So few points I'm watching here is next pivot I have is 137.16. That's one of the pivot, and then the next one is 447.18, in which that'll put you at that 450 mark close enough. So those are the two pivots I'm pretty much watching at a major level. And then also I'm watching, of course, my EMAs that I have 437.56 here, and then the other one which is way beyond our reach for that one. So pretty much just the EMA I'm watching will likely be the 437.81 here. All right, but I definitely expect this one to get close enough over 440 at the very least. So hopefully it's not a gap up. It maybe gives us a nice little continuation to get in tomorrow. So I'm just hoping it's not a gap up if we are going to see continuation to the upside tomorrow. And we'll be able to get in that one and get a nice play off of it. And pretty much the last one pretty much brings me to my ticker that I'm pretty much always watching Tesla. And it's just because of fluidity on it. But what a monster move that was. I didn't expect this one. They also had some kind of minor news off of Tesla, but then they also ended up having an upgrade from, I think it was I forgot what the upgrade was. What was the Tesla upgrade actually? Well, nonetheless, they ended up having an upgrade from Credit Suisse. That's who it's from. They're from Credit Suisse, and they saw that actually was the news that initially started the rally, but I think it was just a broader market more so. But what I pretty much wanted to bring to your attention here, and this is what my bigger picture was, is watching this in tomorrow. So I am going to be looking to potentially short Tesla here tomorrow. And this is pretty much why I say I would rather get in early than end up trying to chase it to the downside. But what I am watching is the downtrend resistance. And so I'm going to try and zoom in as much as possible. But as you see us pretty much approaching and likely pre-market or market open, we'll likely pretty much wick right into the resistance here, close enough to about 953. And that's what I'll be watching to see if we get any continued strength off of 953 to the upside. And that'll also cross right into my EMA here that I have. If we end up pushing above 953, then obviously you're going to see that we're going to break the downtrend, and I'll leave it as is. But if we end up rejecting that 953 and we come back down, that's when I'm going to end up potentially shorting Tesla tomorrow. And that's what I'm going to be watching for. And then we also do have the gap fill here that's way below 862 is what we're going to be watching. So I'll be watching to see this one, but more importantly, you're going to want to see what the formation is off of the candles here. If you see pretty much before, we ended up having this nice little reversal. That's what I'm going to be watching for again to see if we get that kind of reversal candle right here, right into the downtrend resistance. So that's what I pretty much wanted to pretty much show you guys off of this one. But 953 is that key level that I'm watching. That's what I wanted to bring to your attention. 953. If we get continuation above 953, then I'll likely leave it as is. We'll probably see a further breakout out of it. But if we reject 953 and we pretty much fall right back below about 948 is the level I have, then that'll be the point where I end up trying to short it and we hopefully catch a move right back under 900. All right. So that's the one that I'll be watching probably tomorrow, along with also with Netflix. I think those probably will be the top two watch on my watch list tomorrow, because I definitely missed Netflix today, but I definitely want to catch the continuation, especially with how many out of the money buyers there are. All right. But I think that covered the watch list that I have tonight. I do have backup plans, and that's why you saw I pretty much extended my watch list outside of tech, which I know I'm usually always watching a lot of tech, so I wanted to make sure I gave myself pretty much different views tomorrow for different scenarios, because obviously we don't know which way the market's going to go tomorrow. So that's what I'll be looking to see. Obviously if I see pre-market that tech is pretty much red and we see maybe that the volatility really continues to ramp up by morning, then I will look outside of tech and I will look at names such as the Caterpillars and the Marathon Petroleum, and then also looking at the names that also have earnings this week. But if we do see tech, then we pretty much continue the ride, the uptrend, And this is why you usually hear us say follow the trend. In a volatile market like this, in which you see SPY move 5 plus points on each day, you pretty much want to wait and follow the overall trend. And that's why I think I've been saying it practically for what, like the past 2 months probably. Try not to swing, because you see, if you ended up swinging puts on Friday, thinking the market would reverse, you ended up getting slaughtered today. And that's why I just want to be cautious, especially those of you that are new to trading, those of you that are pretty much unfamiliar with how a volatile market trades, in which you get these huge swings to the upside as well as the downside. This is where you want to be careful when you're trying to swing positions overnight. And especially when you're going after volatile names, like the names of Tesla, Amazon, Google, Shopify, those names that can pretty much just rape you overnight, you definitely want to stay away from those. All right. So you pretty much see me, especially me and Avery. We've pretty much just been taking it day by day. I don't think we've really been swinging at all for past few weeks, for that matter. We've just been taking it day by day, waking up, seeing what the market gives us, analyzing what names we pretty much have on our watch list, whether it be a catalyst base, whether it be a breakout to upside, downside. So most of our analysis is pretty much done in the morning, given what the market shows us pretty much before the market open. All right. So pretty much just an insight for you guys, pretty much what we're thinking. And I think, not to speak for Avery, but I know that he's taking it day by day, in which he's just letting the market determine what he ends up taking that day. All right. But other than that, that covers my watch list. That covers what my analysis on SPY is. I think it can go either way. I've seen so many analysis on Twitter in which everyone has us saying the Bulls want to keep the rally going. They need to break the downtrend here. If the Bears want to take control here, then this is where we need to reject. So feels like it's definitely a definitive spot in which we're gonna go either way. So we'll see what the market does by morning. Let me actually see what are futures actually doing real quick before I wrap up. And as you see right now, you see the volatility that we've been talking about. Just after you have what, about a 7 point move on SPY to the upside, you already see that tech is already getting slaughtered after hours. So it may coincide with the fact that I said we go red to green tomorrow, in which the market rally continues. But otherwise, bears pretty much want to see this rejection right here, as we pretty much ended right into resistance, as I showed you on SPY, and we could easily wipe out the gains from today. So that's the bigger picture that you definitely want to understand. And we'll see what the market gives us tomorrow. So we'll see you guys on live tomorrow. We'll see what the market gives us, see what we can end up pulling out, and pretty much calling out for you guys. But other than that, I think that'll wrap up the session for tonight, guys. Hopefully, you added pretty much some of those names, some of those key levels, some of those key pivots on your watch list. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning on live. All right. You guys have a great night.